Alright, welcome back to the Blender 3 Docwalk. This document is object modes. Just a quick highlight note here, up here where it says modes are an object-oriented feature. If you're a developer, this isn't talking about like object-oriented programming. This is simply saying that each specific mode in Blender, what modes are available, is completely oriented around what type of object is currently selected. So just wanted to make that clarification. All right, so let's jump right in here. Okay, so like I just barely explained, your mode is object dependent. So for example, currently I have the cube selected. If I go up to my mode menu here and drop my drop down and click it, you're going to see a series of possible alternative modes that I can activate. However, if I select my camera, for instance, and I go up here, the only thing available is object mode. Most objects in your 3D viewport, most objects that you can select, your light, your camera, they're only editable in one mode, and that is object mode. Okay, now each mode is it enables a very specific way of editing your object. So we're going to go over all of the available object modes in a second here. But yeah, each mode edits only a very specific aspect of any one selected object. So when you change modes, if I go to edit mode, a variety of things alter in my editor here. So some of the things that can alter are how my editor itself behaves, how it appears, what I can do with it. Obviously tools, different tools will appear depending on what mode I select. Another thing that is altered is my sidebar here. What tabs appear in my sidebar, what controls I have over my scene, and another thing that it alters is what is available in my header, what menus show up, all sorts of stuff, right? So it just completely alters the behavior of your editor. That being said, it should also be noted that that because all of the different tools, all of the different menus, all of the different actions and behaviors and edits, right, that you can cause to happen in the editor, because it changes all that, it also changes the shortcuts that you can use within your editor. Okay, so we're going to go down the list here of editors and talk about what each one does. So first is object mode. Object mode enables the editing of your basic translations like position, size, and rotation. So let's go up and move on down to edit mode. Edit mode really gets into editing kind of what your data block is composed of, rather than in object mode, you're editing basic translations. Whereas in edit mode, you're editing the data block itself, like what it's consisting of. You're editing vertices and edges and faces. So paths, right? Control points for your paths, edit points for your grease pencil, curves, that sort of a thing. That's what edit mode does. It's really getting down into the nitty-gritty of what your object is composed of. Next is sculpt mode. And in sculpt mode, you have a variety of tools, and this mode is it treats your mesh, and this is a mesh only mode. Okay, it treats your mesh as if it was a piece of clay, or like an actual chunk of something that you have tools to work with. So you have ways to mold it and smear it and push it and pull it and tweak it and squeeze it and cut it and all sorts of things. So this is kind of sculpting. I mean, it's right there in the name, right? Sculpt mode. It's mesh only, and it's really for just really getting in there and getting your kind of artistic flair going on your object. I don't know why that came up. Okay, if we go up to the next one, which is Vertex Paint mode. Hold on one second. Let's make sure yep. Okay. Vertex Paint mode, this is just literally painting your vertices. You're just painting them. Quick side note on Vertex Painting. Even though you can use Vertex Painting colors in production, sometimes if I have a really complicated mesh with a lot of pieces that are, layered on top of each other, I'll use Vertex Painting to colorize each individual mesh or each individual, I guess, layer or part of the overall mesh. It can be helpful in certain situations, and we'll probably go into this a little bit more when we get into Vertex Painting, but personally I don't use it a lot for colorizing. I know a lot of people actually do, and it does a pretty good job in certain situations. But yeah, let's move on to weight painting. All right, so weight paint mode. This is a mesh only mode, and just so you can have some concept of what this is, you are symbolically painting on the weight of each vertex. And what this does is this is really helpful in armatures, with animation, with deformations, certain type of deformations. There's all sorts of utilities that you can use this for. So, for example, if I had a model, it's a human model, and what I would want to do is with, let's say this was the neck, okay, and when the model turns the head, I want this to be able to deform with the bones, with the structure, right? So what weighting does is I can assign a certain amount of weight to each vertex. You want the neck to be able to twist with the spinal column, right? With the bone that you've put up that connects the head bone to the rest of the body. So what the weight does is it tells the vertex how much of a deformation, how much it needs to be in alignment with what the bones do. But yeah, Vertex Painting is really vital to creating decent animation. I mean, you can't just, you absolutely need to properly assign the correct weight to each vertex so that it does move in proportion with the bones and with whatever else, so that it looks fluid and correct, and it doesn't look weird and not real, robotic. It has a very strange look to it when it's not properly weighted. Anyway, sorry, that was my spiel on that. Let's move on down to the next one, which is texture painting. This is another mesh only mode. This allows you to paint your texture directly onto your model. It can actually get a little complicated, but let's keep on moving. That was the end that we have here. In the documentation, we've got particle edit mode, pose mode, and draw mode. Alright, so first we're going to go back up to object mode really quickly, make sure we've got our cube selected, which I guess it should already be. But now I'm going to come over here to particle properties, this tab, click on that, and I'm going to add a particle system. Alright, now that I've got the particle system added to my cube here, and I've got the cube selected, you might find this kind of funny. I'm gonna hit the spacebar and hit play, and yeah, got particles. Anyway. Okay, let's go up to our mode selection, drop down here, and you'll now notice that particle edit is here. This is also a mesh only edit mode. And more generally, people would use this for stuff like hair and grass, not so much for, a storm of balls or snow or anything like that. But yeah, okay, so that's particle edit. Next on the list is pose mode. I'm going to go back up to object mode. I'm going to get rid of our particle system here. Click that guy off. And I'm going to add an armature. Blunk. Whoops. Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. I'll turn. By the way, if you just want X-ray vision without having to go up or click anything on, it's Alt-Z. There we go. Now I can see our armature in there. And this is what would. Let's Oh, come on, guy. Alright, so that's a typical armature. Okay, and in order to get into pose mode, you need at least one armature on your scene. And once you do, remember the way I got it here was, and sorry, I forgot to walk you through that earlier. The way you add an armature is the way you add anything in the 3D viewport. Shift A, and you go down from mesh to where it says armature. Click on that, and there's my second one. And you can parent these to each other. We're going to go into this later, but this is how you build your basic skeleton, around which you would, or within which with which you would inbuild a skeleton into a mesh or a model, and then weight paint the model for your skeleton. So hopefully that helps kind of put a couple of things together for you. Alright, so now that we've got a couple of armatures out, we can go up to pose mode. Drop down, and there she is, pose mode right here. And because we have an armature selected, the only modes I can go into are object, edit, and pose mode. I go into pose mode, and this is really where you work with your skeletons and your models, and you pose them, and all that great stuff. So yeah, once you have your kind of armature, formed, and you've got it skinned, and you've got all your parent-child relationships going on, this is where you literally pose your figures, and animation follows from there. If you're going to do animation, if you're going to do a game, still pose mode is important. But yeah, you can't edit. Right, I'm sorry, you can't pose them in edit mode. That wouldn't work. So yeah, there's a dedicated mode for actually posing your models. Let's see, what do we have next? We've got draw mode next. Okay, so we're going to go back to object mode. I'm going to scooch out a little bit. We'll do that. Move over and reselect our cube. Actually, nope, I'm going to deselect everything, whatever. And now I'm going to Shift A. I'm going to go to Grease Pencil and down to Collection Line Art here. Click on that guy. And now that I've done that, if we go up here, you'll notice here in our outliner, we've got this new collection, Line Art collection. Okay, and with that, we can now go over and select draw mode here. And this is typically how 2D animations are worked on in Blender, is with the grease pencil, draw mode and grease pencil and all that. Okie doke. Well, I think that's about that for all the modes mentioned here. There are a couple of ending notes that I wanted to leave you with here. For instance, I'm going to select the cube again. We're going to go down to sculpt mode, and you'll notice this kind of that I've got this that my mouse's icon has turned into this crosshair with two blue circles around it. Each of these circles indicates radius and strength. Some of the other tools have different markers, although I don't have one off the top of my head right now. In any case, yeah, in sculpt mode, in your paint modes, right, you get this sort of similar icon. Okay, now I want to talk about multi-object editing really quickly. We're going to go back to object mode. We're going to select both of our armatures here, and well, we'll just get rid of them. Then we're going to grab our cube. Yeah, let's duplicate it a couple times. Now you'll notice that it has these thick lines now. That's because I added the line art. That's how you get in animations, 2D animations that have 3D components, and they seem to be able to make the 3D components look cartoony by having these kind of outer edges. That's what's going on here. That's why that looks like that now. Just a little extra tidbit I thought you might find interesting. Okay, let's duplicate again. Remember, duplicate is Shift D. Duplicate again. Okay, now I've got a little cluster of boxes here, and I'm going to select them all. All right, now I've got them all selected. Remember, even though you can have all of them selected, only one of them is the active object. And you'll notice that while these three are orange, this one has a lighter kind of yellow outline. This is the active object. I can change my active object by holding Shift down and selecting a different one. Now that one's the active object. If I want this one to be active, hold Shift down, select it. It's also typically the last one you select if you're doing a shift select. So like Shift, holding it down, select, 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 select. Last one, because it's the last one. All right, anyway, let's jump into edit mode. All right, now we are in edit mode, and you'll notice that I can see, I'm gonna get rid of this. It's a little distracting. Now you'll notice I can see the vertices or the vertexes. I'm going to turn X-ray on so I can select all of them now. Okay, now typically when you are in edit mode, you can only edit one thing at a time, remember? So let's go back to object mode. I'm going to select something, and I'm going to hit tab to jump into edit mode. Okay, this is my selected object. Okay, I don't know why actually it selected that, but I can't select either the other ones. That's because you can only select what you have previously selected in object mode. So if I go back to object mode, for whatever reason that's doing that, but jump back to edit mode, now I can only select this one. I can't select any of the other ones. Okay, so to edit multiple objects, you need to first select all of them in edit mode, and then you can go in object mode, and then you can go into edit mode, and then I can select them and oops, oh yeah, that's wrong guy there. I can grab them and tweak them and mess them up all I want while I'm in edit mode. However, there's always a however here. Well, actually, first, before we go into the however, first, multi-object editing is only available in edit mode and pose mode. And I mean, right, in edit mode, sometimes you're going to want to take a whole selection of objects and edit them all together, or bring them all together or turn them into a single object or whatever. Now in pose mode, because you very often may want to work with several characters at one time, so in pose mode that is also allowable, and that's how you would do it. You select them in object mode, and then you go into either edit mode or pose mode. Okay, now here's the however. Even though I can edit all of them all together at the same time, I can't, for instance, if I select this vertex here and this vertex here, and if I go up to my vertex and go down to here where it says new edge / face from vertices, and click that, I'm not getting a new edge. Okay, there's no new edge, there's no new face, nothing new just happened. However, that is something you can do if you are working with a single object. If you are working, on a single thing, if you add a vertex or remove a face, you can create new edges, all sorts of things. But you can't do it between objects. So that's one thing you can't do when you're editing multiple things at the same time. And there are a couple other things, but it's important to note that though I am currently in edit mode, I can change. Well, here, let's go back to object mode just for a second, and I'm only going to select two of these guys. So two are selected. Okay, now I'm going to go back to edit mode. So you notice that my two that are selected, if we look over here, they're the two highlighted ones, right? Okay, now note I'm still in edit mode, and I'm going to change or I'm going to select a third object, and if I want to bring that object in for editing, even though I'm still in edit mode, I don't have to go back out to object mode, select it, and come back into edit mode. What I can do is right here in the left hand column, okay, this little white dot, you'll notice that these two already have the edit mode icon right here and right here. All I have to do is select next to my cube 3, my third cube, select here, and now it is editable in edit mode without me having to jump back out to object mode, select it, and come back in. So you can select multiples. Whoops, I did that wrong. There we go. By holding Control down. So now I've got all 4 of them selected, and whoops, that was an accident. Oh goodness, what did I just do? Oh, it pulled me back out to object mode. Okay. So anyway, back to edit mode. Yeah, so holding Control down, I can select the ones that I want to be able to edit in edit mode. Now do notice that I still have the active object highlighted as my third cube, cube 003. It is active. The other 3 are kind of the dim orange color. This one is highlighted with the brighter yellowish orange color. All I need to do to alter which object is the active object is simply select a vertex from that object, like this. And last but not least, while I am in edit mode with multiple objects being edited, only the active object is here. If I pull open my sidebar, oh, it is open. Okay, I'm pulling open my sidebar. All right, you'll see. Let's see. Yep, item. Okay. Even though I've got multiple, well, let's do this. I'm gonna box select everything really quick, and now if we come up here, even though I've got all of them selected, if we come up here, cube 001 is my active object. Okay, the active object, the active object's data is the data that I am seeing here. All right. Same goes for well, just about almost anywhere else, right? Like vertex groups, or not vertex groups, for materials, UV layers, shape keys, all of that stuff. It's all pointing to my active object, even though they're all selected. Does that make sense? So this, if I tweak this at all, the only cube it's going to tweak is the one that is active. See? So I hope that makes sense, and that carries through multiple things. There are very few tools or editable areas that will manipulate all of your selected objects all at once. All right, and finally, we're going to talk about transferring objects. Just like we've been able to kind of pull objects in and out, right, by clicking the edit mode, I guess, activator over here. We can also, let's jump back over to object mode. I'm going to select this guy, and now I'm going to go back into edit mode. Now, if I want to stay in edit mode and I just want to select one other, and just that one other, and get rid of the other active object, I simply hover my mouse over the object that I want to transfer in, to trade in for the current active object, and I hit Alt Q, and there you go. It just gets rid of the other active object and brings in the new one. Now this works not just with edit mode, this works with any mode. So yeah, if I'm in texture paint, right, and I want to paint this guy, Alt Q, and there you have it. All right, well, that is it for this document. That was object modes. I will see you guys in the next one, which is the introduction to 3D viewport navigation. Again, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys soon.